Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Dave's Top 3,000 Songs of the Rock Era. Today I'm up to song number 2202, and that one is Walk the Dinosaur by Was Not Was. The song was released, I think, originally 1987, but didn't become a hit until 1989. I'm not sure why. Anyway, here's a picture of the single, and it was also released on their 1988 album called What's Up Dog. And here's a picture of Was Not Was. I'll get into them later. Before I continue, though, I decided to do this one to karaoke, so please stick around for the end of this video, and I'll do my best to perform Walk the Dinosaur in the style of Was Not Was. I guess I probably should have picked a more primitive looking shirt for this song, but whatever. I guess some rock and roll is kind of primitive anyway, but I guess first I'll talk about the song a little bit. It's a pretty strange song, I think. I remember when it came out, and I never really knew what it was about. I knew it was a big dance hit. They used to play it at a lot of dance clubs. I didn't really like it that much when I first heard it. Of course, 1989 was a very bad year for me. I ended up having a nervous breakdown at the end of the year. But it was one of the few songs I remember listening to on American Top 40 earlier in the year, before I kind of, had my breakdown. Maybe it kind of contributed to a little bit. One thing I learned about this song, I didn't even know it. I just looked this up today. Apparently, it was supposed to be about a nuclear holocaust. I didn't even know that, but I guess the whole point of the song was it was supposed to be a post-apocalyptic song imagining the world after World War III, I guess after nuclear holocaust had devastated everything, and humanity had been reduced to a primitive state, like I guess primitive times. When we were like cavemen again, and there were dinosaurs. Of course, that's a big myth because we know that dinosaurs became extinct about 65 million years ago when the asteroid hit the Earth in the Yucatan Peninsula and, caused like a nuclear winter, caused a big dust storm that blocked out the sunlight and killed them all. We now know that is how the dinosaurs became extinct, and this happened, where humanity didn't even rise until about 4 million BC. So this is a very common misconception that there were cavemen, at the same time as dinosaurs. There weren't. In a lot of popular culture, we see that, but I just thought I'd dispel that myth for any of you that might believe that. I don't know. But yeah, what else can I say about this song? Not a whole lot. I mean, the other thing I learned is the phrase, everybody walked the dinosaur. Kind of like that was supposed to be like everybody do the twist. Basically, kind of was like a dance craze, I guess, that had survived the nuclear holocaust. Everybody's go party, why not? As long as you're alive and you can still have fun, why not, right? Kind of like all she wants to do is dance, but um, you know, Don Henley. I featured that one at number 2546, by the way. I have featured a couple other songs already about a nuclear holocaust, by the way. I featured It's the Mistake at number 2846 by Men at Work. I also featured Wooden Ships by Crosby, Stills, and Nash at number 2247. And I have a few others coming up, at least that mention the possibility of the nuclear war. So I just thought I'd mention that. What else do I want to say? I think that's enough said about the song Walk the Dinosaur. Pretty cool video, by the way. I don't know how many guys watched the video that was featured on MTV, but they had pretty good cinematography. Where they're dressed up in their caveman attire, and they're actually watching a cartoon on TV about a kid hunting a dinosaur, I guess, and kind of entertaining. Some very pretty women dressed in caveman outfits. So I do kind of recommend watching the video if you haven't seen it. And it is a catchy song, that's why I put it on my list. And now I guess I'll talk about the group, Was Not Was. And this is the only group name I know that has parentheses around part of their name. I mean, you see this with a lot of songs. You know, a lot of songs have subtitles. But these guys decided to give their group a name with a subtitle. And I learned something else about this. I really didn't know much about this group Was Not Was before. I'll just tell you a little bit about them. So they were formed in 1979 in Detroit, one of many groups out of Detroit. They were a dance pop group. They were originally together from 1979 to 1992, and then they reunited in 2004, and they're still together. I think they have mostly different members now. But the original members, their founding members, were David Weiss and Don Ferguson, and they used the stage name David Was and Don Was. I guess that's where they came up with the name Was Not Was. Maybe one was and the other was not was. And then their other members, or at least their original members, include Harry Bowers and Sweet Pea Atkinson's on vocals. And they recruited many guest members over the years. So I guess they had a kind of, what's the word? Uh, kind of liquid membership. I was trying to think of a better word for that. But yeah, that was not was. And they didn't have too many hits. They only had three Billboard hits, it turns out. The first was called Spy in the House of Love. That came out in 1987 and went to number 16. Walk the Dinosaur, like I mentioned, also was released that year, 1987, but didn't become a hit until 1989. But it was their biggest hit, went all the way to number 7. They're only top 10. And their only other hit was in 1988. It was called Anything Can Happen. And that one went to number 75. So those are the only hits by Was Not Was. Walk the Dinosaur is the only one I know by them. But anyway, I guess now, without further ado, I will perform this one to karaoke. So anyway, sit back, enjoy, and do whatever kind of from the rituals you want while you're listening. Anyway, here it goes. It was a night like this 40 million years ago. I lit a cigarette, picked up a monkey skull to go. The sun was spitting fire, the sky was blue as ice. I felt a little tired, so I watched Miami Vice. I walked the dinosaur. I walked the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. I met you in a cave, you were painting buffalo. I said I'll be your slave, follow wherever you go. That night we split a rattlesnake and danced beneath the stars. You fell asleep, I stayed awake and watched the passing cars. I walked the dinosaur. I walked the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. One night I dreamed of New York. You and I roasted New York in the Statue of Liberty's torch. Elvis landed in a rocket ship, healed a couple lepers, hopped and disappeared. At least some pretty good music survived the nuclear holocaust, sounds like. But thanks. A shadow from the sky, much too big to be a bird. A screaming, crashing noise louder than I've ever heard. It looked like two big silver trees that somehow learned to soar. Suddenly, a summer breeze and a mighty lion's roar. I killed a dinosaur. I killed a dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody kill the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody kill the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody kill the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody kill the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody kill the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody kill the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody kill the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody kill the dinosaur. Okay, well, I'm pretty winded after that. Takes a lot of energy to kill a dinosaur, let me tell you. Anyway, that was my karaoke performance of Walk the Dinosaur in the style was not was. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And that completes my feature on this song. Here's a little dinosaur thank you. Thank you for watching. You're all dynamite. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.